Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Batbayar. I'm Director of Wildlife Science and Conservation Center for Mongolia. And before I start, I need to make two corrections. First, I'm not the head of the program, but I'm the Director of this organization. Also, my talk is not about wildlife conservation in Mongolia. It's focused on our work on horticultural resuscitation. That's what was agreed from the beginning. And this horticultural resuscitation is located in northeast Mongolia and within the 400 nature reserve. And it was established during our long-term project on wetland and crane conservation. So from the beginning, our main focus was on cranes and their habitat, but eventually it became, we started doing many types of research and then eventually became agricultural resuscitation. And you are welcome to visit. And our nature reserve is 205,000 hectares. It's almost 3 times bigger than the National Park. Most of the important habitat we have is the wetlands. We have different types of wetlands. The wetlands are key ecosystem in this park, and because of all cranes and all other things. Especially one of the important type of wetland is we have permafrost protected by peatland. And this is basically the source of all types of water in this area. All this running water lakes are basically perched on these big permafrost layers. So our work, and because of this rich water sources, we have lots of kinds of water bodies. That's why our work eventually became focused on the long-term ecological monitoring on mostly on wetland and peat areas. So this is, in this part of the main problem we have is in 20, 30 years ago, we used to have lots of small lakes, but especially in one of the valleys, they are disappearing. Because first, it's a climate change is happening. Second, we have just too many livestock, and they basically staying in the water area and then clogging all the water sources things. And this combined effect of climate change and livestock degradation is really causing wetland degradation. It might be not very clear from this on the screen, but there's a small rectangular area here. That's an area where we have this vegetation monitoring with security plots. And then outside it's just a natural area. So you can see if you don't have grazing, and this is what it would look like. And then when we have too much grazing, everything is basically in despair. This livestock track in this area is the main source of water loss. So under this livestock track, like the peatland and soil is compacted, and basically it effectively stops the water flow, free water flow under the peatland soil. And then eventually all these hummocks become bigger and drier, and all this basically causes a huge amount of moisture loss and water loss. So our main goal is now how we mitigate this problem, climate change and wildlife stock, and that's why we are doing this global ecology studies. Our goal is basically trying to collect long-term data that can tell us, capture the trends, what's happening with plants, with birds, with mammals, with insects, with water, and everything. And because this is the only site in the country at the moment that focused on wetlands, data from our side is hopefully we will help the national government to make some important decisions on wetland sites. And in general, the long-term ecological data is really important for not just biodiversity and ecosystem conservation. It's also making this important decisions process getting decision level, because the economy, biodiversity, huge amount of economy depends on this ecosystem. So in conceptually, in our side, it's very unique. We have this rich, varied rich water sources, and then we have this problems with climate change and livestock. And Mongolian livestock is increasing because since the people's background, economic background. More livestock is good for the herders because they can generate more income and they so they have more money. But that's not really a sustainable way of living. So we need to find out this balance. But everything is basically connected by these different types of waters and wetland types. So now in this area, we're doing different types of studies from birds and mammals, picking plants and grazing, and also most important one is capacity building. In any country, this ecological research station is one of the main part of the activities of capacity building. In any place, in any countries, in any research stations, it's usually their work and then everything shared by different disciplines, combination and cooperation of different disciplines, and it really all this work requires lots of manpower. Of course, the students from 5 different universities who are cooperating with us, basically they really useful. They're doing most of all this work. So, using this site, we conduct regular training courses every summer. And since 2013, and annually, we do usually at least 2, maximum 4 different training courses. And it includes from, as you can see, from regular bird research techniques to geospatial sensing, which disciplines, that's all of them. That's last year we were conducting another training focused on geophysical measurements, focused on permafrost and picking areas. And we have a very nice facility, and it's nicely very comfortable to work. And then we have several equipment that I will show. So long-term, as a long-term research site, what we really want to achieve is something like this. This is just one of the examples of the white-necked crane population monitoring data. Since 2013, we've been monitoring white-necked crane, division crane, and division crane populations in very careful protocols. So we have probably now the best 10 years of that, how the population of these threatened cranes are changing. We have, because we have the highest density of white-necked cranes, it's a threatened species in East Asia. Also, through this project, we have also tagged GPS tagged more than 120 cranes from different species. So all this data is helping us understand the ecology of this conservation needs of these threatened species. In this area, we have 2 stations. One measures the microclimates and basically daily temperatures and moistures and sun rays and several different very high species. And this is not a automatic station. So data is not fed into directly to our computers in the office. So every year, 4 times our researchers have to go and then download data and come back. The reason is in this area we don't have good signal coverage. And also we have just finished another station equipment. So that measures, it's a recovery style. It measures the gas exchanges from the wetland areas. Just 2 weeks ago, we also finished installing chambers that measures the greenhouse emissions from our wetlands. We have 22 chambers that's doing our active measurements. And that work is just started as well. Then using this equipment in our settings, researchers from our partner organizations are doing many kinds of studies. One of them is looking at how combined effect of climate change and livestock grazing is impacting our grasslands. So this is, in this case, basically we are simulating the warming and also grazing, and we have several control plots too. And that way, we're trying to understand in Mongolian situations how this is happening. Mongolia is a very unique country because we are a very highly rated country, and most of the countries in the arid region. So what happens in our grasslands from climate change and grazing is actually ecologically it's really important to understand. We also have permafrost boreholes, and they're equipped with the different layers, different temperature sensors. Using this data, we have basically what's happening below the ground. We see changes in the temperatures, and this is not very good sign. So far, we've seen it's warming, so basically it's getting more and more warm. For permafrost areas, this is a very bad sign. So clearly, this climate change and also grazing impact is continuing happening. And now we have a new project that is studying how we restore this degraded peatlands. So basically, if we can restore this peat, this is the peat. Peat is, for those who don't know about peat, it's basically a combination from lots of water and lots of dead plant materials. It's very soft. If you have a stick, it goes very soft and then it hits this ice fabric. So when it disintegrates, this peatland disintegrates and the temperature penetrates and eventually causes this ice melt. And then it gets lots of wetlands, surface wetlands, and that's not really good. And that's something we don't want to happen. Some people might say, oh, there are lots of lakes, but that's really a sign of habitat degradation. And the reason we are measuring this permafrost, the peatland, is for many people, we don't really understand the connections between below ground water sources and above ground biomass. And everything what happens here is reflected on the surface. That's why, without understanding the underlying what's happening in ecological systems, we really cannot fully understand what's happening above ground. That's why this work is really important. And we are working on this with the foremost permafrost scientists in the country since 2014. And we also have a network of small streams and channels, and in key locations we installed several water measurement loggers. So through this logger, we are trying to calculate the water balance in this small basin. But it's been challenging because lots of our loggers are damaged by flood, but also sometimes landslide, especially those ones placed in the small streams. But in general, this is very important work. And using remote sensing, we're also trying to connect those data to remote sensing and then trying to calculate what happens in the larger scale in the basin level. And compared to 30, 40 years ago, now we have more small lakes and then the size of biggest lakes are now changing. This is just a classic indication of degradation. And we have several key species. Of course, in this area we have more than 300 species. We cannot monitor every single of them. So we have priority species, and we just only focus on those. And one of them is, of course, cranes. And then we also have another facility doing this migratory bird monitoring. It's basically focused on small birds. We catch them during migration and band them, and then number and species, all those little pieces really helps us to understand what's happening with migratory small bird populations in this area. We also have monitoring work on plants and insects, because this is also becoming very important work. In the last several years, globally, the populations of insects are really declining in many species. Like if you heard about bee populations are crashing, if bee population crashes, and then the entire food chain in human feed also in big troubles. So it's not just about living in the bees, it's all facing insect population this species has a big risk of populations changing and disrupted because of climate change and greening activities in many places. So this is a very important work for us, and we are trying to collect as many data possible, but again, insect is very difficult. Well, it's easy to collect data, but very difficult to identify and then get result data because it really needs lots of specialist people. Because number and diversity of insect is just enormous. So it's very challenging, second fund work. And then lastly, when you do collect ecological data, you also collect at the same time what's happening in terms of the social status of the people's workers in this area. So this method shows that distribution of households, worker family households. And 4 years ago, we did a complete survey, household surveys, and every single families were visited, and then we collected lots of social information data, and including types and number of livestock and family members and some backgrounds and incomes and many things. So all this data, when we link it with ecological data, will help us to understand what needs to be done in terms of management for the management purpose. And again, this will also help us people's response to the climate change. Maybe people might be, because of climate change, also about the drying and the degradation of all of this. People might be changing their way of life. That's why this baseline data was critical. And we were planning to do it every 3 years, and because collecting social science data is very difficult, and people are usually not very happy. They won't have how many hours they have, how many lifestyle euros, how many lifestyle you sold last year, and how much money you generated last year. So it's collecting this data every year is sometimes get backfire. That's why we are planning to do it every 3 years, and hopefully better. Yes, this is all this work has to be done through our partners and of science and also sponsors, and we are collaborating with Mongolia Institute of Biology, Botany, and Geography, and 5 different universities. And because we have now nice facilities, the number of people who wants to come and do research is now actually increasing. So if you are interested, you're also welcome to come and visit us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nabari. We are a few minutes ahead of schedule, and if you have questions, we have time for 2 or 3 questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, thank you for the lecture. I have 2 questions. The first one is, how do you suppose we deal with the ever-increasing livestock numbers? I've heard that during the Soviet expedition, the maximum capacity to support the livestock was estimated to be 26 million. And now I think we're nearing 80 million. And the second question is, what about the microbiomes of the soil? Are there any researches on that? Microbiomes of the soil.
Yes, the second question is very too easy to answer. We don't have any project work on microbiomes. So please comment and start the project. The first question is, it's a very interesting, also in the first question is we need to tackle. Every person who is studying, regardless of whether you are doing bird research or water research, permaculture, lifestyle is the biggest problem. Even for conservationists, at the end, our other problem now is basically hitting the problem with the workers and human lifestyle. But we still haven't figured out what's the best solution we have. Of course, the easy solution is let's have few livestock and one product, but it's easy to say, but it's very difficult to convince people. more large packets, it's look at normal, and large packets, nobody wants to reduce the number of large. So what we are doing with the nature reserve stuff, the nature reserve capacity is we are trying to identify some conservation and finance mechanisms that helps the farmers to make it same or more income in exchange in some other economic activities, like honey production. Honey production cannot generate normal, but it's very seasonal. Those people cannot really simply trade it with the honey, or it makes money. Because going outside the honey production, these people will be jobless, and that's not easy for them to live that kind of non-traditional way of living. And then meat production increase milk. So there are many ways we are trying to do it. And just last May, we completed our first business plan. In this business plan, we have about 10 ideas how we do it, which one will actually give us the desired result. So starting next year, this winter we will be expanding almost 10 different methods and see which one really works best. In the last 20 years, there were lots of projects, special projects, basically trying to make people understand. There's too many lifestyles basically destroying our future. And I think people, Mongolia in general, I think they are aware of it. Even when you talk with local herders, they know, they understand. Their lifestyle is just now out of hand and it's really causing all these problems. But when you ask them, yes, you understand it, can you reduce your number by half? And this will be a huge help for their system. The answer is simply. So this is really economic, it's not really conservation, and it's a really economics issue. So we really need to bring experts in economics and then finance solutions. And maybe we can start a factory in the town and then make all the workers factory workers. That's a simple and solution, but that's not something we want to do. Because in grasslands, we need the browsing animals to keep the grass also stable level. And also, any conservation project cannot be that aggressive. That's also not a very good idea. So it's very complicated. I hope that answers the question.
Any other questions? The question doesn't have to be addressed for Dr. Nyamboyo. It can be addressed to all the speakers of the morning. Professor.
Yeah, so I have the first one. I think the Mongolia used to be a member of the EAP ILT, right? And right now, Professor Kwon is the chairperson.
What's that? Yeah.
East Asia Pacific ILT.
Yes, it was once.
Yeah, it's one fun.
Yeah.
But now maybe we can discuss to continue this one. And the second question related to the previous question. Do you have the zoning approach in your nature reserve, trying to define the restriction area, the transition zone, and the buffer to solve the previous problem? Zoning.
Okay. Zoning?
Yeah. Zonation.
Zonation.
Yeah.
Zonation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We do have zones. So these pink browns are core zones. And then we have 500 meters around it. We have another special provision zones. And then the rest is common use zone. And then this is the zone. So we do have zones. And then each zone has a different protection and use. And the first one is Mongolia has signed in many international treaties, conventions, and bilateral agreements and MOUs, so many. But the benefits from joining this international these communities and agreements it's been, some of them are actually very positive, but some of them is not, some of them was really very no idea what's that. So it's really, I don't have answer to your first question. And when Mongolia was signed and when they said the decree, or I really have no idea about that. But Mongolia is definitely really active in some major conventions like a Convention of Biodiversity, Warsaw Convention on Climate Change, IES, and CMS. Very active. Actually, we have lots of exemplary work. And just one of the examples, Mongolia is going to host the next climate change conference, COP in Mongolia next year.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? So what's the plan?
Okay, thank you very much.